Hi guys, I wish everyone was fine, especially those in London, and stay safe please during this hard time. So, as we had a series of new global art lectures, where we have lots of theories and examples of artists, I want to make this presentation to show how I applied these theories and reflect on this pandemic period. At the start of lockdown, I didn't feel the world is abnormal. I felt normal because when I think what we did to the nature, like those scientific tests and changes to the environment, the pandemic makes sense. It's like a revenge. Also because we, the Hong Kong people, have been through this in 2003 when SARS attacked us. Somehow I thought I could have some rest finally, which also means I didn't have to rush everything. That's why I was unproductive at the beginning. Because of low access to school and facilities, low job, not able to work at home, I didn't think I would have any progress. After I returned to Hong Kong, I felt like maybe I could make some art. I felt like my art must be related to the pandemic. I also thought about long-lasting characters to be included in my artwork made under pandemic. I was totally lost in late March right after lockdown was effective. Art I made were purely related to instinct, using the simplest materials, like using empty cereal boxes to fake panic buying or sketching my room with pastel, or doing the lasagna challenge. I booked a flight to Hong Kong, but it was cancelled. When my flight was cancelled, I took the angle where I could see the farthest point from my room and bathroom, and then shot this series. I also filmed short static videos with this angle. Course development is a turning point. At first, it's nothing more than gathering opinion and meetings with mother staffs. While keep meeting with staffs, student representatives conducted surveys with the fellows. I helped in translating the survey questions as half of our class are from China. I also proposed possible timelines for consideration. I asked myself the reason of doing this, and then I thought about the Guerrilla Girls posters. Some of them were text-based. I thought this timeline could be art at a certain extent. Thereafter, I devoted more into the course development. I invited Chinese classmates to complete another survey and then summarized and reported the findings from the survey to mother staffs. Then it was the Easter holiday and I finally got another chance to fly back to Hong Kong. Every citizen had to stay quarantined for 14 days, and I stayed in a hotel room for these 14 days. The bathtub of the room became a relaxing space to me in this anxious period. I started making sculpture out of soap foam. I want to put these two photos together to illustrate the gradual little changes. I made the virus first and then the ducks later. The virus represented an unpleasant and intense feeling towards the pandemic, while the ducks were more comforting and soothing. This comparison depicted a change in my anxious feeling to a climate status. There were also other works during my quarantine. I like to take record of my quarantine life, for example, capturing my bed every morning or taking photos of me preparing my quarantine food. To me, this was a self-reflective period. There was no rush for everything. We need to satisfy our physical, biological, and mental needs first. Being alive and healthy for another day is a progress, and then the creative process would run naturally from inside. I believe that was the artist's instinct. If you review once again my art practice from sketching and making lasagna to soap film, you will understand there was no need to rush. Before I felt like my art, or at least some characters of my art must be related to the pandemic. After this period, I would say they were relevant to pandemic anyway when my artworks were put into contest. It was a matter of curation. When these artworks are taken away from the pandemic context, when they exist on their own without title or conversation, they may be irrelevant to the pandemic, but they show some levels of consistency to my usual practice. It is what it is. The criticality remains in these works. Now I have finished the quarantine and there was no lockdown in Hong Kong. But it doesn't seem to be a good time to stay outside in the summer. I got these insect bites after a night out. So stay home, stay safe. Thank you.